Welcome back to the channel, you Card Nerd. Today we're doing an IFR mock check ride with a student that's going to be flying a 1979 Mooney that's actually fairly well equipped, right? This airplane's got dual G5s, the GNS 530 WAAS capable, a GNC 355, and a GFC 500 autopilot. So these aren't just generic instrument numbers that we're throwing out. We're going to dive specifically into how are we going to use this equipment to fly safely. Now, the examiner that this student got also told them to plan from KXLT to the DC area, which brings up some complications, right? The DC area has some special airspace that you need some special training to fly into, some special clearances to fly into. So we're going to recognize that. We're going to dig into it and see, well, how is this going to impact our planning? We're also going to hit some of the Mooney specific stuff like gear, fuel, climb speeds, weight and balance, emergency procedures, and what kind of decision-making this airplane requires in actual IFR. The Mooney, it's fast, efficient, but it also really demands that you stay ahead of it. So the goal here is not to just memorize answers. The goal is obviously to see what does the student understand and how can we fill any of the gaps that they don't understand. And as always, fly safe, keep it cheesy, and this is not a replacement for your own CFI, double I. This is really just to help. Make sure you go get real instruction. Let's get into it. All right, Nate, how's your day going?
It's going great. I'm pumped.
Awesome. So working on instrument in a Mooney, which believe it, it's a fairly well equipped Mooney based on what the information that you kind of provided and gave me. So tell me how's your training been going? Private pilot, you've already gone through one check ride, so you kind of know the gist of these things. But how's your training been going? What's led you to this point? Kind of what's the end goal?
Yeah, training's been great. I got kind of a weird story. It's not that weird, but my dad has flown for 10, 12 years, something like that. But for the first 10 or 11, I really had no interest. I don't know why. I just, we fly all over the place and it was fun to sit with him, but I was never really thinking much of it. I did try to learn how to land the plane just in case something crazy. But about a year ago, I just got this basically dose of reality that I need to start flying for work, basically. So I started to learn, and then I got bit by the bug of oh, and this is freaking awesome. Yeah. So I fell in love with it. But the cool part was I wasn't really paying much attention to what he was doing for all those years of just sitting there. But as I started to learn, I was being able to say oh yeah, I know that. I see that all the time. So it kind of back validated all this knowledge I didn't know I had. So that was about a year ago. I started private, got my ticket in December, and then it was always straight into instrument for me. I don't understand flying without an instrument rating. It's you can only fly half the time. So, and I need to get places when I need to get them to them for work. So, but it's been great. I've had a lot of real actual missions with my dad can sit in the plane and we can go fly actual flight plans and do some cool stuff. So it's been going really good.
Awesome. Was your dad a airline pilot, or he just,
no,
general aviation?
No, we work at Culver's. We own Culver's restaurants, but he just flies. So he has a Phenom 100 right now. So I get to do cool stuff with him in that too. Most of the students are I've never flown a Star. I technically haven't flown a Star, but I've sat right seat for a Star 100 times. Yeah.
So no. So you gotta get the idea, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
funny actually. So I wasn't going to mention this in case you bring it up because now you won't use it because I'll know it. But he flies the Hootie 1 every single time he comes into Arizona because he has a house in Phoenix. Yeah. So every time you bring that up, I just think it's funny because I'm I know this one.
Yeah, I mean, I fly it almost every day for work as well. It's all right, cleared for the Hootie 1. Okay.
I got this one.
All right, so how's the kids? Not to say that we're complacent or anything like that, but
no, I get it.
We do it every day, right? It's kind of like for a pilot who's doing those stars every single day, it's his equivalent as walking a piece of paper to the fax machine that you fax every day, kind of thing.
Right? Yeah, it's good familiarity.
Yeah, it's good familiarity. But since you own a bunch of Culvers, so you might be able to give me some insight on this. So I was using the phrase "Card Nerd" for the longest time, and then all of a sudden, Culver's decided that they wanted to start using the.
Wait, you were first? No way, you were first. Oh, that's funny because when I just started watching yours a year ago, And that was like, initially I was like, oh, this is my guy. He's got the Wisconsin Curd Nerd thing going on. I'm like, I'm hooked.
Well, and that was the hilarious thing is like, I started doing it, and then they put out like this whole like win a Curd Nerd plushie thing.
Oh,
and I was like, hey, wait a minute. Like, and it was funny. I sent Culver's like an email and some messages on Instagram trying to like drum up some fake drama where I'd like sue Culver's for stealing the Curd Nerd phrase.
Oh,
But then
no.
like we'd settle out of court for like 100 Scoopy coupons.
Hey, that's a good deal. I don't know.
But like they never responded.
That's funny. I know some people.
Yeah, you know some people. We might be able to make something work. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Would be because I've gone to the first Culver's, the one in
Sauk City.
Yeah, Sauk City. Did you know that the blue that last storm that came through Wisconsin, it blew down the big blue barn?
Yes, I know. It's like kind of a Culver's tragedy.
Yeah.
But our CEO was like, it's okay. We have insurance. We're building it right back up. Yes.
Awesome. Well, shoot me an email. You got my contact information. If you want to, I am more than happy to fly out there and raise a barn with Culver's. I feel like there's
a collaboration waiting to happen there.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time talking about Culver's. Let's get into the actual training, exercise. So working on your instrument training, what is really the big idea? What's the point of getting an instrument rating?
Yeah. So basically flying in IMC, flying in on our IFR flight plan is the big things for me personally. You can fly in class alpha airspace. My plane can't. And then I'm not doing anything commercial, but you get some extra privileges there too.
Okay. Now, you say you're not doing anything commercial, but you said a couple different times like, hey, I need to get places for work.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, it's kind of a gray. I'm flying myself. It's not like for hire, but it toes that line. So there's definitely some fine lines we draw there.
Well, let's think about it, right? So I'm assuming you're getting paid salary, right? I mean, I'm assuming at your level, Culver's isn't paying you, $200 an hour or whatever it equates to, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting paid, and very likely getting paid while you're operating an aircraft. What makes that legal?
All the attorneys that drafted the documents that made it legal. If you would in private, I was so much more in tune with that. I can't even remember. I know it comes up in private all the time.
Have you ever heard the phrase incidental to the business?
Yes. Okay, there it is.
Right. And this kind of touches on hey, just because you've gotten the rating doesn't mean that the information isn't still, valid, right? Let's not brain dump every certificate. Because if I brain dumped every certificate, there's no way I'd remember like 3 landings every 90 days because like my carrier, my airline, like we have an op spec that like says, hey, this is our standard for currency, which doesn't necessarily comply with part 91, right?
Right.
I mean, it's stronger than 91. We're not saying that I'm out here going 6 months without landing an airplane, but like, just be aware that like, hey, some private pilot questions might get brought up, especially, if you're kind of opening that can of worms, like I need to get there for work. Really?
Don't say that
about that.
Yeah, no, I really need to brush up on that. But you're right. The private things that have come up in some of these mock orals, I'm like, even A Tomato Flames, I was like, shoot, that one, like, I need to go back and brush up on that,
Yeah. All right. So we understand what we can do legally, right? And of course, got a bunch of attorneys kind of drafting up documents to make sure that everybody's on the up and up. And I mean, as long as you're not getting paid to like move employees, like that's where the real gray area is.
Yeah, none of that.
So let's say you get your instrument rating, and then for some reason or another, you get tasked with something else by Culver's, and you end up being, grounded for 6-7 months. Can you just go straight back up into IFR flying?
No, not if I don't have my recency requirements.
Okay, so what are those recency requirements?
So preceding 6 calendar months, 6 approaches, holding procedures, and then intercepting and tracking courses using navigational systems.
Okay, so let's say you don't get that done in those 6 months. What happens?
Another 6 months?
No, let's say after these first 6 months pass, and you don't get any instrument approaches done.
Yeah, so I can go get current with a safety pilot or a CF double or in a simulator, an approved simulator.
Mm-hmm. So who can be a safety pilot?
Technically, the regulation says a private pilot in the category and class, forward vision, dual controls. I think that's about it. But then you get into that gray area of, but do they need the ratings? Which my opinion would be yes. I don't want someone flying the Mooney that doesn't have their complex.
I mean, and that is fair, right?
Yeah.
I know the joke is like, well, a private pilot can go be my safety pilot, my PC-12. It's like, okay, but like,
Are you though? Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
should they?
So I would say they need to be able to be PIC because that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, and that would be your personal minimum, right?
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna go take my buddy who hasn't flown instrument, and you know, like I got a buddy who's like, yeah, my last instrument approach was my Checkride. I'm like, okay, well, I guess you're not gonna be my safety pilot.
Yeah. No kidding.
It's hilarious because like we'll go fly around and do trips and stuff, and I'm like, come on, man, just like let's just go do a safety flight real quick so that you can come along. Like your plane's capable.
That's tough.
But they, so let's say for some reason or another, you go, I don't know, 14 months, no instrument flying at all. Are you screwed? Like what's the plan? What's the play?
Yeah, we're in IPC territory at that point. So get a CFII and do an instrument proficiency check is what I would do.
Okay. So can you do that in the simulator, or does it have to be done in the plane?
Not all of it. I think there's some that you can, but not all of it. So I know I would just do the ground and then get in the Mooney and do the approaches and stuff we need to do there.
If I remember, it's all in the ACS, but if I remember correctly, I think it's just the circling approach and the landing has to be done in a plane.
Okay.
Right. So you can go do everything else in the simulator and then go do one circling approach to a land.
Okay.
And there's your IPC.
There you go.
Cheapest way to get back up in instrument conditions. Now, again, there's a difference between current and qualified, right? So for you, then, what would be your kind of personal minimums associated with IFR flight?
Yeah, I've tried to put a number to this. It's tough because I'm so deep in it. Like I'm doing tons of approaches. So it's tough for me to know this is the number where I would not feel safe. I would think like 6 in the past 60 days is kind of what I have instead of 6 months, more like 2 months. I know though I'm going to have to depend on, like it's going to come down to me and how I feel in that moment. So that's my number, but it's going to take time for me to really get to know, like when I know with my private, how I know a couple of weeks I started to feel rusty. So I just don't know that number yet with instrument, but that's what I'm going with for now.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's pretty solid. Just try to build a plan for deviating, because I know 6 in the last 6 weeks, like that's a lot of approaches.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even as an airline pilot, I don't do 6 full all the way down to minimums approaches in the last 6 weeks.
Right, and that's the other thing. Like ones that actually count might be a different number, because a bunch of them probably just aren't going to count. I popped out, So yeah, I'll have to figure that out.
Well, which ones count?
So technically you can log ones. If it's simulated, you got to take it down to minimums. If you're in actual, you just have to be in actual after the final approach fix.
Yeah. So that is a big difference. I know when me and my wife go fly, if it's minimums, she doesn't want to go do that approach. She's like, let's divert. And I'm like, but the aircraft's, like, me personally, I'm like, the aircraft's capable of it. She's like, yeah, but like technically I'm the most qualified one. So if something goes wrong, the NTSB is going to come after me. And I'm like, okay, fair.
Yeah.
Gotta defer PIC authority to my wife.
Also, what a power move. Technically, I'm the most qualified.
She's like, I don't want to go to the FAA meetings. We're going to a different airport. I was like, you know what?
Yes,
fair.
ma'am. You don't want to mess with that.
And she's done it before. Like we were going to Milwaukee one time, and it was minimums in Milwaukee. Like, and when I say minimums, 200-foot, half-mile visibility. And I was like, send it. Like, what's the worst that happens? We do the mist?
Yeah.
She's like, no, the worst that happens is we die.
Well, yeah.
But all right. Now let's get into, so we covered your instrument proficiency, currency, and again, kind of set a plan when it comes to deviating from your personal minimums, because the last thing you want to be is like, well, I've been at these personal minimums for the longest time, but now like I've been doing this for so long and I really need to get there, right? The last thing you want to add to the end of the reason you're deviating is I need to get there, right? Or we've got a mission to accomplish. What I always use is like the risk assessment matrix. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Where you've got like the severity versus the likeliness, and like where do you fall on the severity versus likeliness scale? And if you're at all in the yellow, just call it
No,
a day.
yeah.
Talked about that. Let's get into some of the equipment that's actually in your airplane. So
Yes.
you have that GNS 530. How do you like that thing?
Well, it's ugly, but it works. I love
I
it.
mean, what equipment is in it? Like what can it actually accomplish?
Well, the biggest thing that it has, because I have the 355 also, and it's pretty, but it doesn't have VOR capability, so it can't fly ILSs or any VOR stuff. So, and the 530 is a GPS and it has a VOR receiver. So that's kind of its big capability that my other one doesn't have.
Awesome. Yeah, the 355 that's the one that has the comm in it, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it's Navcom and it's pretty and it's got good utilities, but as far as navigation, it's just GPS.
Now, when you say it's a Navcom, let's go look it up. Let's go look it up on Aircraft Spruce just to make sure we're talking about the exact same one and to kind of give the viewers an idea of what we're talking about. GNS 355.
Just a GNC 355, if that matters.
GNC 355. Yep. All right, there it is. Oh, yeah, this one is only, where did window, there it is. Yeah, so this is what we're talking about for those of you who aren't too familiar with it. So we've got our GPS now. Or we'll talk about the GPS portion in a little bit, and we've got a communication or a comm on it, right? So comm 1, comm 2, whatever you happen to have assigned it to. These things are awesome. They are not cheap.
Nothing is.
God, no, nothing is. It's so. Tell me a little bit more about that 530, given that it's got a VOR. How is that VOR working? Can you explain to me how VORs work?
Yeah, so the VOR facility sends out basically two signals, a standing one and then a variable one. The difference in phase, the receiver is able to basically detect that and then read what radial we're on.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, what are some of the limitations associated with the VOR? Like, why did we ever bother going to GPS? VORs seem pretty foolproof.
Yeah, well, they are nice. Line of sight, you got your cone of confusion and reverse sensing are kind of the main ones, I would say.
Okay, so what is the cone of confusion?
Basically, when you get directly over it, you're kind of picking up all of the radials, all the signals. So your VOR kind of freaks out for a little bit, and then once you get on the other side, it'll flip, and you'll be good to go.
Okay, so what is reverse sensing, and is your aircraft capable of it?
Well, it is exactly what it sounds like. You're reading it backwards, so you would be the needle is kind of how you fly that. I have dual G5s, so it generally corrects for that. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, those G5s are awesome. Oh, what the hell? I did not realize that was, oh wait, here it is. Never mind. I have a whole VOR simulator and we're going to play with that later. I just thought that I was pulling it up and it kept telling me your trial has ended. I was like, I don't have a trial.
Oh, no.
For it.
Good trial. Let's go ahead and end.
No, we're going to. Now, what do I have to do to make sure I can actually use this VOR?
VOR check preceding 30 days.
Okay, so what am I looking for?
You need to find a test facility, first of all. If it's ground base, you would tune it in, make sure within 4 degrees. If it's airborne, it would be 6 degrees.
Okay. And is there any other way that you could test the VOR in your airplane?
Like the VOT? Well, I don't have a dual, so I don't think so.
No. So, I mean, the VOT, that's what you were referring to as the test facility. That's the VOR test facility.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of airports have them. Do you know how to identify them?
Yeah, there's not very many in our area. The chart supplement has them all for our region, whatever you would call it. So Missouri has literally 0. Kansas has 2. The closest one's in Topeka. So that's a quick hop over there. And then it'll even say it's the east side of the terminal. And so I would assume I'd taxi over there and there's probably a sign or something, but the frequency's on there and what radial you should be on at that point.
So there's going to be a sign. There's also going to be a mark on the ground. Do you know what it looks like?
I know. I don't. I'm actually curious.
So here, we'll just pull it up. So I'm not trying to describe it. Come on. VOR test. This is what they look like right here.
Okay.
So on the ground, You're going to see that little thing, and it's going to point where you need to point the airplane. And it's very often going to point at the sign that you need to point at. Here, we'll just go to images. It's going to be on this one. No, it's not going to be on this one. But there's one at Green Bay. Too bad the Green Bay VOR has been dead for like 6 months. And they're like, the Green Bay VOR is out of service, currently under repair for years.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's get into your GPS. Can you describe your GPS to me, or just GPS in general, not necessarily your specific one?
Yeah, I mean, the bare bones of it is that there's, a bunch of satellites in orbit that are sending a signal with a timestamp, and our receiver is taking those in and triangulating our position.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, what's so special about your GPS? Like, what makes the GPS in your airplane any different than the GPS that's in my phone?
Yeah. Well, we have RAM and WAAS, so RAM, receiver autonomous integrity monitoring. It can detect if there's faults in the signal, but WAAS is kind of the big one. It uses ground facilities to make corrections, and it sends it up to a geostationary satellite and then back down to us. So it's more accurate and super reliable.
Okay, so what does WAAS allow me to do?
Besides more accurate, kind of the big thing is when it comes to planning, you can use a GPS approach at your destination and your alternate.
Okay, so what kind of, does it open up the door to any more accurate approaches or anything like that?
Yeah, like LPVs, LP.
Okay, LPV, LP, and LNAV VNAV.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So what's the difference between an LPV and an LNAV VNAV?
The vertical component, I guess I would say.
Or LNAV, what does VNAV stand for?
Not that. The localizer like performance.
Yep, the localizer like performance, right? Are these precision?
Technically, no.
No, they are not precision. Awesome. Does your airplane have any RNAV systems?
Yep, GPS, and that's the only one.
Yep, that's the only one. And I mean, there are other types of RNAV systems. You said your dad's got a Phenom?
Yeah, it's GPS. It's a G1000 GPS.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. I know like some jets, they actually have other types of RNAV systems so that they can leave the country easier.
Yeah.
Like an IRS. Does it have an IRS?
I don't think so. I've only started hearing that when I started watching your videos, but maybe it could, and I just have no idea.
I mean, if it's rated to cross oceans, I think it needs one.
Yeah, and I don't know if it is. I know he's flown it to Mexico, so that would cover across the Gulf, I think. So maybe.
I mean, I know I wouldn't want to go like, because I mean, GPS, it's satellites targeting the United States. Like, let's just be honest. That's other countries have their own GPS. Like Russia's got GLONASS, China's got, I thought I had it in my notes. I don't. But either way, other countries have other satellites and they point at their locations, right? Yeah. So I know if I was going to be going pretty far in a jet, I'd want IRS. Do you know what IRS is?
Yeah, inertial reference systems. I mean, I get the gist of it. It's like using your G-force to kind of calculate where you're supposed to, where it thinks you are, where you are.
Yeah, I mean, where it thinks you are. I mean, I've seen some IRSs be about 3 miles, get about 3 miles off.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was on like a short 2-hour flight. We used to use IRS to get from California to Hawaii.
Right. That's crazy.
In the old 7-4 days. You just trust in the IRS.
Send it.
And, hoping to pick up that VOR.
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. It's like, I only have like 400 people back here relying on this. Like, what's the worst that happens?
Cigarettes too.
Yeah. God. And people are like, I don't know how Amelia Earhart got lost. Really? Really? Like, I'm surprised she didn't get lost sooner. Like, no shame to her. Like, what she was doing was, a lot. But like,
so funny.
Now, your 530 does have some more ground-based navigation systems. It's got that ILS. Can you kind of break down an ILS for me?
Yeah. So big components will be guidance, distance, and visual.
Mm-hmm.
So guidance, you got your localizer and your glide slope. So that localizer keeps you laterally on course, glide slope vertical. Distance, we use GPS in lieu of DME, but you probably got DME from the localizer as well as like outer marker beacons. And then visual components, your landing system lights. So whatever it happens to be on that approach.
Yeah. It's so since we talked about all these different navigational aids and, mostly in the context of approaches, when can I go down below minimums?
So you can go below minimums. You need to be on a stabilized approach, have a required visibility, and then You can go all the way down if you have the runway marking and light, threshold marking and lights, runway and identifier lights, or the visual VASI PAPIs. If you just see the instrument landing system like the rabbits, you can go to 100 feet above touchdown zone elevation, but then you need to get the rest of them before you can go any further.
Yep. Have you ever had to do that? Use the rabbits for the initial?
No.
It's there's some pucker factors, so especially in a Mooney. Because I mean, what's your approach speed in a Mooney?
Well, I guess it's not unfortunate. It feels unfortunate. We're in miles per hour, so it's like 95-ish. So whatever that is, this probably 70 something.
I mean, that's still a quick approach speed. I mean, you know, there's Cessnas that, I mean, technically they could drag it in at 60 knots if they really wanted to.
Yeah. We got a little more speed than the 172 I learned in, but it's nothing like scary or intimidating, but it's a little more.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the bit of instruction I've done, the things are in a Mooney, the things I see is like, if they don't get configured by that initial descent point or by that final descent point, whatever that happens to be, they struggle to get the thing slowed down enough to actually land.
I can agree with that. Yeah. I got to configure pretty early before the final approach fix I've found, or I'll just blow right through it.
Yeah. And, you know, you end up way high and then, you know, you're pulling the power all the way back to, yeah. Pulling the power back out, you know, shot cooling your cylinders. I mean, that's not good. Like,
no.
All right. Well, it's time for everyone's favorite part, unpublished holds.
Perfect. I love it.
Let me get this all set up real quick. So I did make a mistake on one of my previous ones. I forgot that standard holds are right turns.
But you still got most of the right conversation out there. I don't feel like it ruined the point of it.
Yeah. So I just want to apologize to anybody that watched that and was like, hey, fuck Cheese.
Damn it, Cheese.
I failed my check ride. It's like, well, maybe go get real instruction instead of just YouTube. I have gotten some emails like that where it's just like, you're providing, it's like I'm very clear that I am telling you that this is not a replacement for instruction, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, so let's say I'm just setting this up real quick. We're gonna start with an easy one. Let's say all right. No, let's center up the CDI. I'm not gonna be that big, that mean. Yeah, that's solid. All right. So, there we go. So we're looking at G1000, which it's fairly close to what you're used to, right? Would you concur?
Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
All right. So we're on a heading of 030. It looks like a course of 053 will take me to the VOR. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
All right. So let's say ATC told you, Mooney 123, maintain present heading to track inbound on the 270 degree radial. Hold inbound on the 090 degree radial, standard hold.
Inbound 090? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we're going to hold inbound on the 090 radial. So we're going to hold facing the VOR.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What kind of entry would this be?
I'd say a teardrop.
Yeah, teardrop, right? Because we're going to enter, here, we can even show the map, right? We're going to track to the 270.
Yeah.
Then we're going to make a right turn. Close enough. And then track to the VOR. And then, I mean, you could do your little teardrop, right?
You could do parallel. I just like the teardrop.
Yeah. I mean, and right turns. All right. I'm happy with that, right? This is a pretty straightforward one. You get the idea. Maybe we could go here. We'll stop sharing so that I can get my map back, because I'm not going to try and do it. I'm not ATC. I'm not trying to give unpublished holds without. All right. Do we want to do a DME arc? You know what? I've been an airline pilot for like 7 years and have never gotten a DME arc. I don't even think there's any published DME arcs left.
They just decommissioned the only one we knew of in the area on the last update.
I mean, they were so fun. I know when I did checks for UND, there was a DME arc that you would arc at like 15 miles, track inbound to like 10 miles, and then you would arc to a localizer back course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was fun. I mean, not if I'm in an emergency in IMC, but just for practice, that sounds fun.
Yeah, or a check ride. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm going to set up another one real quick, and we're going to go center up the needle because, like, you know, you don't really fly around with your needles not centered up. That works. All right. So we are currently on a heading northbound. A course of 315 would take me to the VOR. Would you agree?
A course of 315 take you to the VOR. Yes. I'm gonna agree.
So would I turn left or right to get to the VOR?
Left.
Left.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm following out. Yeah. I was confused by the heading bug for some reason. I don't know why I was even looking at that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I guess I could have centered up the heading bug. And I mean, another cool thing that you can probably pull up on yours is these little bearing pointers. I love these things.
Yeah.
So let's say ATC told you turn left heading of 320, 330 to intercept the 240 degree radial, track inbound to the VOR to hold inbound on the 270 degree radial. Standard holds.
Okay, left turn to what? Sorry.
Left turn to 330, right? So we're going to make a left turn 330. And then we're going to track inbound on the 240 degree radial.
Okay.
So I could even come here and probably just set in the 240 degree radial, right? I'm stupid. 060 degree radial.
Okay, now I'm following.
240 degree course.
Okay.
And then we're going to hold on the 270 degree radial inbound.
Okay, I got it.
How are we going to enter this hold?
I would say teardrop again.
Teardrop again. Solid. As we kind of said, right? We're coming up here.
East coming down. Yeah.
060. Make that nice little turn. Close enough. And then teardrop into the hold.
Perfect.
Because holds are right turns.
Yeah.
Right turns. I love this tool. It's just a little slow. Like, you can let it run, but as you can tell, we're not going anywhere anymore. Yeah. Kind of fast.
Yeah, no, that is helpful for that.
And if you want it, it's actually a really weird website. It's luismontiero.com.
Yeah, I found it because of that whatever video that was you had, and I was playing around on there for a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean it's awesome. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of, like, you can fly it effectively. Like, where's it? Options, help, keyboard commands. Like, you've got all the keyboard controls right there. So, like, it's, you know, it's a cheaper, lower end version of Microsoft Flight Sim, right? Microsoft Flight Sim's great and all, but people keep turning it into a game because the graphics are so good. But I mean, even I struggle with, like, VOR approaches on Microsoft Flight Sim. All right. So we understand holds, we understand GPS, we understand localizers, we understand ILS. Let's get into your instrumentation that's presenting, like, you know, your airspeed and whatnot.
Yep.
So those G5s, they're great. We love them, don't we?
We do.
Can I fly if my steam gauge altimeter isn't working?
You cannot. That's the primary.
Okay, so how do I know? Like, where could I look to see what instruments are actually required, given that, you know, like, let's be honest. Like, if we look at A Tomato Flames 91205, if that's the only thing I'm referencing, the G5s check all those boxes, don't they?
You would think so, yeah. The main thing is the STCs. So I have all of our STCs here, and it's going to tell you the only thing it's replacing for primary is the attitude and the HSI.
That is the only things the G5s replace. Or it can replace the turn coordinate. It's like...
Right. Why in the world would you do that?
I have no idea, but I mean, it's...
I saw that when I went to look it up for the purpose of this, basically, and I'm like, who would do that? I mean, could you get a third one that does that, I guess?
So the idea is that you could have a really nice attitude indicator that has a flight director in it that's paired to your autopilot.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the install manual, only some autopilots actually work with the G5s.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them do. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of them do. I mean, in my airplane, the Sentry 1, like, before they actually started giving numbers to the Sentry autopilots,
yeah,
I had one of those, and it works with the G5s.
Wow.
So there's very few autopilots that don't, but if you do happen to have one of the ones that don't work with a G5, I could see replacing your turn coordinator with a G5. Because I mean, turn coordinators, they're old, they make noise. Like, have you ever turned one of those things on? Like, they're annoying.
It's the one thing that is still just buzzing in the cockpit for us.
Yeah. Like, I've looked at mine and went, should I just buy a GI 275 to replace that damn thing?
If only. That's no cheap endeavor right there.
No. Oh my God. Just the box alone is like $5 or $6 grand.
It is very nice though. We have that for our engine monitor in the Mooney.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think if you go with the engine monitor, it's a different box because like the engine monitor one, they don't put the AHRS and ADC in it.
Okay, it's weird because it's all in the same manual as if it's the same thing.
No, so like if you take the unit out and look at the back of it, there's no pitot tubes on it.
Yeah, I mean, why would it need it, right?
Yeah, so I mean, there's no AHRS or ADC in them. But I mean, I got a buddy who just got it as the engine monitor, and I like they're nice. They're nice. They definitely talk a whole lot better to a lot of your other Garmin avionics. Like I went with the CGR 30s just because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And I mean, they accomplish the same roles, but things like fuel to destination, I don't get.
Right.
Right. But let's get into some instrument equipment failures.
Okay.
What might you expect to happen if your static port got plugged? Or I guess better, you know what? Let's word this into the context of you using your autopilot.
Okay.
So ATC, it says Mooney 123, climb maintain 7,000. You're currently at 5,000 feet. It says climb maintain 7,000. I need at least 500 foot per minute in the climb. So how are you going to do this? How are you going to comply with this clearance?
So normally I would bug 7,000 and climb via indicated airspeed, 101's VY. But the trick there is it's going to start reading lower and lower with the block static port. So I'm going to be pitching down because it thinks it's not getting that speed. It's really just a block static port. So eventually I'm going to lose climb performance or stop climbing at all.
Yeah, right. Because if you've got a blocked static port, one of the other more dangerous ways that some people do this, especially when they hear like maintain a certain VSI per minute, right? Maintain a VSI is they'll crank that VSI.
Plug that, yeah.
And the airplane, the autopilot won't see a change, right? So it'll keep pitching, trying to get the target VSI.
And then just stall out.
And the autopilots are more than happy to stall airplanes.
Right. Oh man, that's scary.
Yeah. What would we do? Let's say we did this. We set the VSI 500 foot per minute and we saw our attitude going up. It's like, let's be honest, right? The attitude indicator isn't necessarily our primary indication for climbs, right?
Yeah.
But we saw a pitch attitude that would normally correlate with a fairly aggressive climb.
Yeah.
What might you do if you thought your static port was getting plugged?
I'd pull alternate static.
Okay. Is there any kind of compensation or calibration that I need to take into account for using my alternate static?
Yeah, it'd be slightly lower pressure in the cabin, so it's going to read a little high.
Okay. Is there any chart that I could go to that could give me a little bit more information?
Yes. It's in the beginning of I think it's in the performance section. Airspeed calibrated alternate static source, altimeter corrections, alternate static source. Right here.
Yeah. And those,
if I hold it too rough.
Those are really important when it comes to instrument approaches, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's say we're going down to somewhere it's like 500 foot field elevation. How far off would I be if I didn't look at that chart? Or I mean, it probably starts at 1,000, doesn't it?
Let me see. Sea level, and it has sea level and 10,000. So sea level would be like pretty much around 50, 60 feet.
Yeah, around 50, 60 feet off. So let's say we're doing like an IL.
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, right. Because if the cabin pressure is lower than the outside pressure, what am I going down to? Am I going to end up lower or higher?
You're going to end up lower. The airplane's lower. Yeah. Because it thinks it's a little higher.
Exactly. Right. So those are some of the things a lot of people kind of forget about, right? Like, oh crap, my static port's plugged. Good thing I have an alternate static. Click, they flip the switch or whatever it happens to be and forget about it.
Yeah, that would, no thanks.
Right. Happy with that. We covered holds. I think our next route, our next plan, let me go pull up your nav log real quick. It's in one of these 18 different folders. And we're going to pump this into Sky Vector so that we can kind of pull it up on the same screen. But if you want to pull it up on your iPad, if that, is you can see it better. Obviously, that's the play.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got your route pulled up right here in front of me. Talk me through your plan. Like, what was your plan? We're departing XLT, right? Is that where this is?
LXT, yeah.
Yeah, LXT, sorry. Way down here. Departing LXT. I'm just making sure I'm at the right airport. Going direct this VOR. So just talk to me about your route. Talk to me about your plan. What was going through your mind as you were planning this?
Yep. So basically, I just started LXT to KDLL, and then I started picking airways just to stay on airways as much as possible. And that got me all the way to Madison. From there, I just went direct and initial approach fix, and then to Baraboo. As far as altitude goes, my MEAs are pretty low. I think the highest is like 4,000. I planned 11,000. I just like to be as high as possible. I like altitude for if anything happens.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're going east. And I mean, that's the gist of it. I'm trying to think of anything else specific I would say.
All right. So what is our plan for actually, you know what? This is actually looking like absolute dog crap. Let me see if I can. We're gonna do. I wonder why it's doing that. Fix it in post. All right, let's go back to your departure, and I'm gonna give you a craft clearance, kind of, and we're gonna use that as kind of the scenario as we're running along with this. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good. Cheese clearance delivery. Mooney 4667 Hotel looking to pick up IFR to Baraboo.
All right, you are cleared to. No, the little flag for the VOR is cut off.
Oh, no.
All right. You are cleared to the Newton VOR Tango November uniform via radar vectors Napoleon as filed. Climb maintain 3,000. Expect 11,000 5 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 12345. Squawk 1212. EFC at Newton of 1600. Current time 1454.
We're cleared to Newton, Tango November uniform via radar vectors, Napoleon as filed, climb maintain 3,000. Expect 11,000 5 minutes after departure, frequency 12345, squawk 1212, EFC at Newton, 1600, current time 1454.
All right, awesome. So we get cleared for that departure, or we get cleared for takeoff. I'm going to look at your route and see what time it's actually going to take us to get to Newton. Unless you've got it right in front of you.
Yeah,
you built the route, so I'm assuming you're a little bit more familiar with it.
It's an hour and 5 ETE to Newton.
Okay, hour 5 ETE. So with that in mind, are we expecting to hold at Newton?
Am I expecting to hold at Newton?
Yeah, given that our EFC at Newton is like if we were to depart right now at 1500, our EFC is 1600. It's going to take us an hour and 5 to get to Newton. Are we expecting a hold at Newton?
No,
right? So just kind of thinking ahead, what's the next 2 steps, right? How could we plan for this?
Of course, in my head, I'm jumping straight to lost comms, so I'm trying to think through that, but yeah, no.
Right. So what was your primary goal, or what was your primary navigation source? What were you planning on using for this entire route?
GPS, really.
Yeah, GPS. All right. So let's say we took off from Kansas, got our radar vectors. They put us over here to Napoleon, gave us our climb up to 11,000. As we were climbing, we got an LOI on our G5. What does this mean to you, and what is your plan?
It's a loss of integrity. So my plan probably right away is just to swap over to VORs because I'm already on an airway and I can just use that. And then I'd probably start diagnosing what the heck's going on with that.
Okay.
And
Is there anything else?
ATC know that too.
There we go. Right. Let ATC know. Now, I mean, are we just going to divert and be like, oh my God?
Not necessarily.
No, right? Because we planned our entire route with a backup nav, didn't we?
Yeah.
Pretty solid route planning. I mean, also they're didn't really seem to be much other options. I mean, there's no
I was
Tango
trying to
rides.
get a hybrid of some Tango Airways, and there's none of them really made sense. So it was just Victor all the way there.
Yeah, I mean, you, I guess, could have taken this one.
Yeah,
but,
there was some options.
But I mean, that one takes you like way over there, and then you're like coming down here. Like maybe that would have been a better route because like it takes you there.
Yeah.
You know, because then you go Rodney Negus.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of wind dependent too, because today it's out of the south, so I'm going up to the north for the approach anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I see that you plan to go to an initial approach fix. That's awesome. So you go through, you start diagnosing your problem, and then your comm drops out too. It's almost like one of your antennas might have like, you know, you've got an antenna cable, a bundle of antenna cables that are starting to chafe. So you lost your GPS. Now you lost your comm. So now what? We're approaching YV. Current time, we'll call it, 15:45.
Okay. We're already up at 11,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I'm good there as far as my altitude. And at this point, I'm flying as filed until my clearance limit of Newton, where EFC is 1600. So what's that leg? I mean, that's what I'm doing right away.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, so we hit Newton. We hit Newton after our EFC.
Okay.
Now what?
Keep going.
Keep on going. So, keep on tracking. We end up, let's say we're approaching our destination. We have no comms. We have no ability to get weather other than like, let's say ADSB, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we can get some ADSB weather. ADSB weather is showing 240 at 9, gusting 15, broken 2100, broken 3300, broken 8500.
Did you read that and come up with that?
No. I'm just reading it right off the.
Oh, okay. I'm like, that was a lot to come up with.
No, I'm just reading it right off the screen.
Okay.
Can you not see it?
It's small, but if that's just the current weather, yeah, I'm looking at it now too. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Awesome. So with that in mind, I'm the other pilot in the flight deck. Let's give me a briefing so that I have kind of the same idea. Like, what's your plan?
So I have lost comms and no GPS now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my options would be to fly this VOR Alpha or go to my alternate where I know there's infinite approaches, a bunch of ILSs and stuff. These ceilings aren't too crazy. There's so many factors that it depends, but I mean, I could just say we're just going to fly the VOR Alpha.
Okay, let's talk about the VOR Alpha then.
Yeah, I'm glad because this is a crazy one, by the way. Have you looked at this?
To be honest, no. VOR Alpha. Gosh.
I shouldn't have said that. This is going to be a bad one. Okay, that's all right.
Well, I mean, let's take a look at it. I mean, the worst that happens is, we learn something.
Actually.
So we've got looks like our initial approach fix of the DLL VOR.
Yep.
Track outbound on the 070. Well, you know what? Why am I briefing it? You brief.
I was going to let you roll with it. This was great. Okay, yeah. You just want my briefing?
Yeah. Go ahead with the briefing.
Where are we coming?
So you're on your route, as we were saying.
Yeah.
So we're flying your filed route because that's what we were cleared for, right?
Yeah. Coming from Madison though is where we're at.
Yep. So we're coming from this Madison VOR.
Sweet. Let me read through this one real quick again. Okay, this is gonna be a crazy one. You ready?
Yeah. Let me see if I could do this at least a little better. Ugh. Is that any better?
Oh yeah, that's good on my end. I'm also just looking at it on my end.
Okay. All right, so go ahead. Yep.
All right, we're coming from Madison right now. We're got the VOR Alpha into Baraboo. Plates valid. We got the VOR tuned up and ID'd already. I read through the notes. Those don't apply. We're not landing on that grass strip. We're lost comms, so those frequencies don't matter. We're coming from the southeast. We're direct Dells right now. When we get there, we're going to turn outbound 070, fly that out for a few miles, and then turn left, heading 322 for our procedure turn. We're going to make a right turn, intercept back in on our final approach course of 187. At that point, we'll be at 3,000 feet. Well, actually, when we get established back inbound, we're going to drop down to 2,100, and this is where things get fun. Our VDP for this runway is really going to be somewhat like 4 miles out at 2,100. So that ceiling is flirting right with that. So if we do get the runway in sight that far out, we can go ahead and land 1.9 visual. But otherwise, after we cross back over the vortex, we're going to drop down to our 15-20 circling minimums. At that point, if we have the airport environment in sight, we're basically going to fly an upwind and then a crosswind and then a downwind and then a base for 1.9. So a big old looping pattern because we're going to be past our VDP. If we end up back in the clouds, we'll execute our missed approach, which is straight out to 2,500, right turn 3,300 direct to the Dells vortex and hold. And if at any point we lose situational awareness, we'll just climb up to 3,300. And that's about it. Any questions?
Awesome. No, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I do like that you didn't immediately just go, well, I can't land. Because we've got a VDP like way out here at like 4 miles based on what you calculated.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? Like I can't.
It's high. You are higher than the pattern at that point. So I'm like, what are we doing? But I don't know. It's a goofy one. It's weird because, the classic is, well, why is it not assigned the runway? Because it's more than 30 degrees. Well, this one's direct on, but I guess it's just because that VOR is so close that you can't get low enough to have a stabilized descent based on these altitudes. I don't know. It's a goofy one.
Yeah, you pretty much can't be stabilized for runway 19 by only following the approach.
Right.
I forget what the descent angle requirement is for it to not be assigned a runway. But I mean, it's probably something like 4.5 degrees or some ridiculous nonsense like that. But that was the idea, right? Is that, I mean, you can even see down here at your rough approach speed. I mean, it's going to be 52 seconds from the final approach fix to the missed approach point. I mean, that's not a whole lot of time.
Yeah, it's quick.
And I mean, in a Mooney, good luck getting, you're going to have to be fully flaps full, gear down, way out here to ever make that.
Right.
You might be able to try and calculate some kind of, because we're going down to 15-20, you might be able to try and calculate some kind of path.
So this is what my thinking was. So the VDP, how I would normally calculate it, it's that 541 divided by 300. That puts us at, where is that one? 1.8, but that makes us farther away than the Dells vortex. So we can't even be at 15-20 yet.
Yeah.
For that to apply. So then I recalculated off of the 2100 that's prior to that, and that's where I come up with it's 3.74, which is actually negative 2.4 DME. It wouldn't be negative, but 2.4 DME before the vortex, whereas the missed approach is 1.3. And it's just like all this weird math going on with this one.
No, and I mean, I like how you thought it through and was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not going to be able to make a stabilized approach straight in for runway 19. Instead, you were like, you know what? It makes sense. Let me just fly the pattern.
Yeah, this big.
I'm down here.
Yeah.
Because what do I need to? Because this is Gulf airspace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Gulf airspace. So, what is my weather requirements for Gulf airspace to fly a pattern?
3 in clear clouds.
1 mile clear clouds.
1 clear. Okay.
Right. And if we look back at your approach, what's the visibility requirement?
Hold on, let me get back there.
It's 1 mile.
Oh yeah, 1 mile. Easy.
So this approach effectively takes you down to a VFR Gulf pattern.
Yeah.
That's the entire idea. So you thought through it pretty well. Most students, I think at this point, they'd see this and be like, okay, well, I guess, I don't know, I can try, but obviously runway 19 is never going to work given the winds, but nope, it's a solid briefing.
Sweet. The last one I was hoping for at Baraboo, hoping for all the other ones.
Well, what's your alternate again? Let me go and take a look at your alternate. Is Madison. Let's go take a look at Madison. See if there's any other fun approaches at Madison that we want to talk about.
There's a ton.
Yeah. Where did Madison go? There it is. Let's say for some reason we didn't see the clouds. We had to go missed. So we're going off to our alternate. Talk me through the RNAV GPS runway 18. And remember, radio's dead.
We got our GPS back though?
Sure. We'll say that we wiggled the right cable and the GPS works again. Right? Or we
Okay,
finally
so-
remembered that we have 2 GPSs.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let me read through this real quick.
The equipment failures, we got all nervous and was like, oh, wait a minute. I have a 355 and a 530.
Yeah. And our autopilot works.
Yeah.
And we're assuming we're coming off of that missed approach at Baraboo.
Yep, coming off of the missed approach from Dell's.
Okay, we got RNAV 18 into Madison. My plate's valve. This is a WAAS approach, so we'll be flying the LPV down to those minimums. I read through the notes. The only thing that's going to apply to us is we're runway visibility requirements down to 1800, and if the Mauser's not working, well, that's actually a different approach. That's the only one that applies. Comms don't work, so that doesn't matter. We did get our altimeter ADS-B in, though. So we're coming from the northwest from Dell's, and we are direct IECO right now. When we get there, we're going to basically do that procedure turn, go outbound, make our right turn back in. When we cross back over IECO, we'll drop down to 2700, pass Gatney down to 2500, intercept our glide path, and take that down to our minimums of 1064. When we get there, if we don't have anything in sight, we'll go missed. If we just see the Mauser, we can go down to 100 feet above touchdown, which is 864, so 964. At that point, we're going to need to see the runway and all the markings and lights, and we can go ahead and put it down. We got 8,000 feet of runway to work with there. If we don't have any of that, we'll execute our missed approach straight out 3,000 to Deaky and hold. And if at any point we lose situational awareness, hop up to 3,600. Any questions?
No, it's pretty solid. Sounds like a story, sounds like a plan. I'm happy with that.
I learned that from you, Cheese.
Yeah. Well, because you get so...
No, I was reading top to bottom before I started watching your videos on it, and this makes way more sense because really, if you're in there, that's what you're doing. You're not reading it word for word. You're thinking through the story.
Exactly, and that's kind of the point, right? I don't... and I make the joke, I know, like if you're in the airplane with another pilot, like you've got 30 seconds of their attention at best.
Right.
Right.
They don't want to hear the WAAS channel as W18A.
Well, I had a student do that like in the airplane one time. I'm like, okay, dial that in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they're like, what? Wait, what? And I mean, it was possible. Like, don't get me wrong, it was possible to dial it in, but it's like we're briefing superfluous information. Like we're adding more details into the aircraft, into the situation than are necessary at all. Like there's people that they'll leave the flight director up the entire time, when they're out flying around, even if the flight director's not telling them what they want to do. Like only present to yourself the information that's actually required. Right.
Yeah.
There's no need for us to have all this extra nonsense up and yeah. So let's go and take a look. I think thinking the KISS 2, so KKISS 2 arrival into DTW, Detroit.
Man, new one.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said at the beginning of this that you've already like you've seen the Hootie one, countless times. So it's like, what do we? Let's go look at
KISS 2.
RNAV KISS 2. Now it is. I'm gonna give you the first little hint. It is 2 pages, so that's gonna be the big like. Are you good? All right. Yeah. So can you do this?
Let me read through some of this right off the bat. No, I'm seeing that at Tinder, you got to be flight level 210 to 230. So the Mooney can't.
No, let's say you got a turbo for your Mooney. Could you do it? Not a turbine engine, just like a turbocharger. Because I think a turbo normalizer for a Mooney puts your service ceiling up at 240.
Damn. I don't want those oxygen straps. But yeah, let's just say I can. I don't see any other notes saying I couldn't if I could get those altitudes.
Yeah, and I mean, other than like maybe the speed, right? 280 knots is...
Yeah, true. Right.
Like, sure, a Mooney's quick, but I don't know if it's that quick.
It's not that quick.
Right. But let's pretend, right? Let's say you got like an IO 540 swap turbo normalized,
like where we're headed.
Strengthened spar, you got the subsonic wing sweep kit for your Mooney, right?
Perfect.
And ATC says, hey, Mooney 123, proceed direct Engram, descend via the KISS 2 arrival.
Okay.
What's your plan?
So direct Ingram and descending via the KISS 2 arrival is my plan.
Okay, well, talk me through it. Like, how are we, like, what's the actual procedure?
So where are we altitude wise right now?
We'll call it 240.
240 out to the west somewhere, I assume.
Yep, 240 out to the west, direct
So
Ingram.
we're direct Ingram at 240. Once we get there, we'll need to descend at least down to 230 by Diker, whatever it is, between flight level 200 and 230 there. From there, direct to Freely, where we'll be between 190 and 210, exactly 280 knots. Make our right turn towards Sims. Then on to Rickety. That will be
I
at
think it's Rock City.
Rock City. I liked Rickety. That one sounded fun. 16,000 to flight level 210 at 280 knots. On to our next page. Over to Kiss, in between 12,000 and 15,000. On to Stiley, 10,000 to 11,000 at 250 knots. On to Zubby. And then I guess it depends on where we're landing for the rest of that. Do we know where we're landing?
No, but that's pretty straightforward. You got the idea, right? You didn't get to Tom and go, oh, I don't know what's next. Right. Let's go look at the chart for a little bit. What are we looking at with these squiggly lines?
Oh, sorry. Let me squiggle. I don't see the squigglies, but I'm assuming it's the road closed.
Yeah, it's the road. You know what? That's frustrating. We're going to do this. I did not realize that it was going to.
Ooh.
Yeah, not that. This. Is that better? Like you can actually see it now?
The only thing I can't see is the squiggles. I feel like I'm seeing everything else, but
what?
I don't know why I can't.
It's blowing it out for some reason. Like the contrast is way wrong.
I can see it super faint. The rest of it looked fine.
All right. I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with the contrast. But it's the road closed, right?
Yeah.
They closed all the routes crossing Lake Michigan. That's odd.
Is that where we're at?
Okay. Yeah. Let's go take a look. Yeah. What is this little altitude? This number right here with the asterisk next to it?
The Mocha.
The Mocha, right? What about? Oh, you know what I bet is going on? Give me 2 seconds. I bet I turned HDR on my monitor, and I bet it's not picking it up through the. Bet if I turn HDR off, it'll fix it. Share window. Since it's Sky Vector. Share. Is that better?
It does look clear, yeah.
All right. Can you see the squiggly routes now?
Yep.
All right. Apparently Riverside does not record in HDR.
Well, crazy.
All right. Let's go and take a look. There's one or two other things on the chart that I want to talk about. What is this little flag right here?
Minimum reception altitude.
Awesome. What does that mean?
So when you're crossing that fix, you need to be at 5,500 to get nav aid reception.
All right. Now, what are these little tick boxes, right? These little borders or whatever you want to call them.
You got to change in MEA.
All right. Change in altitude over that fix. Let's go out west. What is this little doodad right here?
Compulsory reporting point.
Now,
and a VOR.
If ATC says, radar contact, Mooney 123, blah, 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 right? They've got you on the radar. Do I have to tell them when I cross this?
No, you don't.
All right, ballin'. What do these little MONs mean?
So the minimum operational network, which basically ensures anywhere in the United States, you're always going to be within 100 nautical miles of Amman Airport with ground-based nav aids that can get you there and down on an approach.
Yep. Pretty much means that, if somebody sets off a nuke in outer space and kills all our GPS satellites, we can still get our airplanes on the ground.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it really is. Well, what I think about is so if that happens, every airplane in the sky is going to be doing the same thing then.
Not necessarily, because you got to remember every airliner also has IRS and DME. So they have RNAV. Yeah.
Okay. So we're good. Because that's what I'm imagining is wait, we all got to get to these airports.
No. So it's mainly they all still have multiple RNAV systems. If I remember, the Embraer 145 has DME, VOR, GPS, and I think it'll even grab localizer signals to try and calculate its position via RNAV.
Yeah, that thing can get lost.
It can also grab like the GPS is calculated as its own separate calculation that is used to update its, other RNAV systems and cross-reference them. But you could completely lose GPS, and the only thing the airplane would tell you, but it wouldn't impact your operation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I mean, that's a regional jet.
Yeah, it's not even a big crazy one.
Yeah, it's not even the big old 380. So sure, every general aviation airplane is going to be
handle that.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of us in general aviation, we've completely dumped VORs because, like, look at you. You don't even have any near you that stay operational.
Yeah.
Right. I know for me, all I have is GPS. Like, I yanked my VOR radios out because I just didn't I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't have enough money for the 375 GPS. Like, let's just be frank. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I don't think I need VOR. No, I'm just poor.
That's awesome.
VORs are beneath. No, that's not it. All right. What are these little D's with the arrows on them?
Yeah, it's the DME distance to
DME distance to the nav aid. All right. I'm happy with your ability to read charts and the ability to read your arrivals. I'm pretty confident that you're not going to have any issue passing your instrument check run. I'm not sure, the DPE, if they're, because I know instrument's kind of a touchy one for a lot of people, because I know my instrument oral was 8 hours.
I heard, yeah.
But most people, their instrument oral is 1.5 hours, 2 hours, right? So if it's a reasonable oral, I wouldn't necessarily see you having any issues. Let's actually go look at the DCA SFRA, the Special Flight Rules area, and talk about that a little bit. Because I know that's what you were saying is your DPE told you to plan to this area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're not going to like actual DCA and you're going to like one of the other adjoining airports, you're still going to be in the SFRA. You're still going to be in the special flight rules area, right? You've got all these other airports that are in this special flight rule area. Okay. And if I remember correctly, it really just tells you to go look at part 93. Let's go look. I know it said it right over here. Special flight rules area, CFR 93 in effect. Special regulations apply to all aircraft operations below 18,000 feet. So let's go look at part 93. I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen, so none of that made sense.
No, I was looking at it on my end.
All right. So as we were saying, we've got the special flight rules area, right? We've got Washington. It's all right here. And we could see CFR Part 93, flight restrictions in the vicinity of the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport are in effect. Surface to 1500 MSL, Part 93, subpart X for helicopters and powered lift restrictions. Well, we're not looking at helicopters, but let's go look at the FAR-AIM at faraim.org. And we're going to look at Part 93. And we're going to read through it and make sure that we understand what... Oh, there's an AIM section too, is 3-5-7. That might give us a little bit more information. So the boundary, it's showing us what it looks like. Oh, and that's flight restriction zone, figures and diagrams. No, well, the AIM didn't really tell us much.
That wasn't very helpful.
Yeah, that's not very helpful at all.
It basically references Part 93.
Yeah. Part 93.
I'll go find that then.
Let's just do this. Special air traffic rules. So this is where we've got the Anchorage, Alaska stuff, New York helicopter route, high density traffic airports, Ketchikan, Pearson, Luke Air Force Base, Ronald Reagan, Washington National Traffic Rules right here. Nonstop operations. No person may operate an aircraft nonstop in air transportation between Ronald Reagan National and another airport within 1,250 miles away from Ronald Reagan. Pretty much saying like, you got to go at least 1,250 miles if you're going to be an airliner. That's not really applicable to us. Subpart describes special operating rules for all persons following airspace designated as, so this is the Grand Canyon stuff. Yeah, Grand Canyon National Airport. Yeah, this is all the Grand Canyon stuff.
Yeah, the subpart you said earlier was subpart X, and I got that pulled up. It looks like it has some.
Well, that subpart X said it was specific to helicopters.
Oh, that's true.
91-250. This subpart describes rules and operations to and from. Okay,
Yeah.
well.
Okay, well, dang.
And then we're back to the National Air Park. Let's see if I can find some more details here. The AOPA did if we can't find anything here, I'm dang sure the AOPA did something on it. Part 93.
I think that's actually where I ended up finding the information I found.
All right, let's go look that up. Air Traffic Services Brief, FAA Special Air Awareness Training Program for the DC metropolitan area, right? They issued final rules, special air awareness training. Oh, that's what it's talking about, where you've got to go get this special awareness training for DC. This rule requires all pilots who fly VFR within 60 miles of DCA to complete a required training course. This rule is now codified in Part 91-161. Well, you're not going to be flying VFR. You're going to be flying IFR, right? So free course is developed. You can find it at FAAsafety.gov. Great. It's great that it's free. Since the creation of the FRZ shortly after 9/11 and ADIS February 2003, there have been over 1,000 unauthorized flights, also known as airspace incursions, despite the fact that all incursions have been determined to be inadvertent in nature. Several of those incursions have come close to the Capitol and the White House. That evacuation of these buildings and other federal offices were required. We're saying like, hey, like people are out here doing dumb things.
Yeah.
Don't do dumb things. We've had to evacuate the White House a couple times because people are doing dumb things.
Yeah.
AOPA believes the SFRA, formerly the ADIS, that's kind of funny that it was an ADIS, as presently configured, is unnecessary burden on law. Oh, well, maybe that's not the part that we really want to dig into. This is AOPA talking crap on it, saying
That's funny.
It's AOPA, like, shouldn't be our problem. ATC, do your job.
Right.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, see, so here's the course. I would say probably just go through this course. And it's going to give you a certificate at the end. And I would take that to your check ride.
That would
and I
be
think
awesome.
This is where all of those details that you're going to be looking for on what it takes to file in and out.
Right.
Is going to be the play. I mean, to be honest, you know what? I'm not flying anywhere near it, but maybe I'll take the course. We'll take it together. No, I'm kidding.
No, that's a good idea. I'll do that. It's like a 5-hour flight. So, I mean, it'd be 2 legs, but it's a massive flight plan to do.
Yeah. And I think the idea is that he's looking to see where your fuel plan is going to be. Do you have more than one fuel destination, right? They want to make sure you're able to plan this route in a way where your alternate makes sense when it comes to fuel planning. Because that's a lot of people end up with big issues in IFR because they don't plan for a lot of the weather, and they end up having to divert to an airport they didn't plan to. So they don't have the plates, or they haven't briefed it. They're not familiar with the area. I guess we didn't touch on that. When is an alternate actually required?
So if where you're going doesn't have an instrument approach, or if between an hour before to an hour after ceilings are below 2,000 and visibility below 3 miles.
Yep. Awesome. So make sure, keeping that in mind when you are doing your fuel planning, that you're not messing that up. Again, it's a 5-hour flight. I don't know. What is this thing? What's this thing's fuel economy? I know mine burns it's a lot of fuel. It's not great. It's with a good tailwind, I'm doing 12 miles a gallon.
Yeah. We're 10.5.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
So not that big of a difference.
So I just real quick, directly Summit to DCA would be 4.5 hours and 53 gallons of fuel. So it's probably one fuel stop, just depending on weather and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, how much would you actually have to carry? How many more gallons would you have to carry in the event of, because we're flying IFR. So what's your minimum? What's your reserve that you need to carry?
As far as exactly, well, I'd have to get to there to alternate and then another 45 minutes, which I could do the math on, but more than that.
Yeah, more than that. All right. You're burning 10 gallons. I'm assuming 10 gallons an hour-ish?
Yeah, 10 and a half.
10 and a half, yeah. Because it's the IO360 A1B6, right?
IO360, and I don't know the numbers specifically or the letters.
It's the 200 horsepower one?
It is 200. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
It's not 201, so it's not high performance.
Yep. So yeah, it's probably the A1B6. I'm trying to think of like what other ones are actually 200 horsepower, because the 172 gets the IO360, but it's not the A1B6. It's like it's the straight valve one, but it's only 180 horsepower.
Right. Yeah, that's what I learned in.
Yeah. Those extra 20 horsepower, it's a couple extra scoochums, right? It definitely feels it.
It's nice.
So let's talk about your gear system since we'll touch a little bit on some systems of the actual airplane. Can you break down how that gear works?
The landing gear?
Yeah.
Can I break down how it works?
Yeah, it's like the retraction and extension and, the emergency procedures in the event that it doesn't come down.
Yeah, I would say the emergency procedures is the thing that I would reference. I guess I don't know when it's working correctly. I don't know what I would explain in terms of how it works correctly.
Well, is it electric? Is it mechanical? Is it
it's
hydraulic?
Yeah, well, I don't even know if it's hydraulic. I should probably learn more about that. It's not mechanical.
Okay, so you don't, because there are some Moonies out there where it's a bigger bar.
Yeah.
Right.
The gear failure process is mechanical. It's like pumping that lever up and down like a dozen times or something.
Are we sure it's not hydraulic? I mean, I got the POH. Let me pull up the POH.
Yeah. I got the emergency procedure on it, but where would it say how it normally does?
I think you'd be looking in section 7 of your POH.
Okay.
That should cover all the system descriptions. Is usually if I remember, it's usually in section 7. This one's Roman numerals. What is 7 in Roman numerals?
VII.
VII. All right. So I'm in section 5.
Landing gear 720. Oh, you got a different one, so I won't say it out loud. Electric gear retraction system. There you go.
All right. So, yeah, flight control descriptions, aileron systems, elevator trim. The trim on this thing is nuts. Like how Mooney thought to make the whole tail pivot as opposed to just like a little trim tab. I mean, I guess that's why it's so quick, but.
Well, right now my electric trim is out too, so I wonder if that has anything to do with the complexity of all that.
I'm not sure how the GFC 550 ties into, or the GFC 500 autopilot actually actuates your trim, given that it is such a large mechanism. Because a lot of trims, like what they're doing is it's like a spring tension system where like it pulls more on a spring, so that it like pulls. They're super weird. So I'd have to look into the install manual for your specific airplane. But when it comes to the gear, electric gear switch identified by a wheel-shaped knob, 2 positions. Pulling aft, lowering the knob lowers the landing gear, while pulling aft and raising it raises the landing gear. Duh. Oh yeah, that's the only information it gives you.
Yeah.
The gear safety override switch is the manual means of electrically bypassing the airspeed safety switch. Do you have an airspeed safety switch?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It might be one of the small differences. I just Googled that POH because I don't have this one digital.
Okay. Yeah, it's I would definitely be aware if you have a gear airspeed safety switch. That's kind of a big, really important one, because that would be if you do your gear swings on the ground, right, and everything's functioning, then you go up in the air and you're not able to get the gear down. It can be kind of hard. Like, okay, what am I trying to diagnose? What is the issue? Why is my gear not functioning in the air, but it's functioning on the ground? You might have an issue with that safety switch. Because I'm assuming that safety switch keeps you from dropping the gear
on the ground.
Oh, no. Right here. It says it prevents the gear from being retracted before takeoff speed.
Where's that?
It's in the POH, or it's in my POH.
Is it on
that you sent me?
7?
So I'm looking at page 7-10. It says the gear safety override switch is manual means of electrically bypassing the airspeed safety switch. In the event the gear control switch is inadvertently placed in the gear up position, the gear airspeed safety switch prevents the gear from being retracted before takeoff speed of approximately 65 plus or minus 7 or 5 knots is reached. Should it be necessary to retract at lower speeds, the gear safety bypass switch may be pressed until the gear is completely retracted.
Yeah, I should know that.
Yeah. Do you have a gear safety bypass switch that you can press and hold?
Yeah, I do have that. And that's part of, actually, it's a different system for the different process for if failure to extend. It's actually pull the whole breaker and then crank it down, basically.
Okay, yeah. So you've got the electric one that's got
right next to it. So that's what that's doing.
Yep.
Also 75. So mine's 75 miles per hour. It says 65 knots in here. That's pretty close to how fast we're going when we actually lift off. It's a little
Yeah.
nerve-wracking.
You know, and it's nuts because like I've seen videos of people with Moonies that like when they go to take the runway, they'll swing the gear handle and they're like, it'll bring it up on its own once I take off. I'm like, that's a really great way to smack a prop.
I don't like that. No.
No, I don't like that at all. I think it's a dumb idea, but you know, people out there are like, hold my beer, watch this.
Right.
Like, please don't.
That was helpful. Okay.
Yeah. Now, what about that prop? Can you give me some information on how that prop actually works?
Oh, in terms of like the constant speed part?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my prop lever basically sets an RPM and then uses oil to like adjust the pitch to maintain that RPM through using the governor.
Yeah, so the governor. So what am I actually controlling? What does that blue lever actually do? Like, what is it physically connected to? 'Cause it's not physically connected to the propeller. It's connected to the governor. But what is it setting inside that governor?
I don't know.
Have you ever heard of a speeder spring?
No.
No? All right. Well, let's go look up a diagram of a prop governor so that you can see what we're talking about. I think the bold method one is actually a little better. All right. So right here, this is really what a prop governor is doing. Okay. So you've got your little blue lever that's inside the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
And this little blue lever actually puts tension on what's called a speeder spring. Now, this speeder spring controls how fast these flyweights have to swing to actually go out. So the higher the tension is, the higher the RPM. So when we push that prop lever full forward, we're setting as much tension as possible on this spring. We're compressing that spring as much as possible so that it takes as much RPM as possible to get these flyweights to swing out. Now, when these flyweights swing out, they actually pick up the pilot valve, and the pilot valve is what's controlling where the oil is going. Is the oil going to, or is it coming from the prop hub?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if we were to have like an engine failure, would oil go to or from the hub? Or I guess better place to put it, would we be looking for a high RPM or a low RPM?
Engine failure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. I was thinking electrical failure when you said that. If we have an engine failure, what's the question then?
If we have an engine failure, right? So the engine's no longer producing power. Yeah. What is my propeller going to do? Is it going to go to a high pitch or a low pitch?
It's going to go to a high pitch. It's going to go to a low pitch.
Okay, I guess let me rephrase it. Is it going to go to high RPM or low RPM? Like, what is the propeller's goal? Not what are you actually going to get?
I don't know. I'm trying to think through this diagram now.
So I'm
gonna get low RPM because there's no engine power.
Yeah.
But as far as like the pitch setting, is that kind of more so?
Yeah, that's what we're really going for. What is the pitch setting? If I lose power, if I'm no longer producing power on this engine, my RPM is going to be going down, right?
Yeah.
So if my RPM is going down,
it's going to be trying to get to a higher one.
It's going to be trying to get to a higher RPM. So is that going to be a steeper pitch angle or a lower pitch angle?
Steeper, taking lower?
Yeah, it's going to be lower because if I go steeper, right, what's going to happen? It's going to be a broader to the wind kind of propeller. Sure, in a multi-engine, it's going to go the other way because we're just trying to reduce the drag. But in a a single engine airplane, we want it to windmill as quickly as possible so we can try and get it started again.
Yeah.
So I would just say maybe a little bit of the systems knowledge associated with the complex airplane. I dig a little bit more into because you don't want to end up getting through all your instrument stuff. Because I mean, we're just being honest, instrument solid, right? My only concern is we might have brain dumped a little bit of the stuff beforehand, saying, "Okay, Checkride's done. We don't need to know that anymore." You know, I'd hate for you to end up making it all the way through your instrument stuff and then having to go retake your Checkride over something like systems that we should already have.
You're right, though. I mean, I put so much studying brain power into all the instrument stuff. And then, as far as private, it's just like practical knowledge. Like what I'm doing is so sharp, but like that deeper, kind of study material stuff, it did kind of brain dump. So that's a good point.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest. Where you're at on instrument, I'm happy with where you're at. I wouldn't be concerned about signing you off for instrument. If you were my student, we'd probably just take it back to basics. We'd go through the POH again, just kind of freshen up on the systems.
Right.
Is really where I would say is the only big gaps. Is let's freshen up on the systems and let's be a little bit more comfortable with how our airplane functions, how our gear works, how our prop works, and any other, just to be safe. I'd go read through the supplements associated with your avionics as well. Not necessarily saying that there was any gaps that I found. I don't really have a good way to like test specific avionics stuff, because sure, I could pull up the simulator and ask you like, hey, what button do I press? Well, it was like, then I'm like, it was a little hard to do. But when it comes to, you understand your equipment, you understand the limitations, you understand how to plan a route. We set you on the right course when it comes to flying into DCA. Definitely print out like the, hey, I did my course.
Yeah.
And take notes, right? I know it's going to be an FAA course, so it's really going to be like death by PowerPoint.
Yeah.
But take some notes just so that you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, that'll be helpful.
All right. You got any questions, concerns, anything that you were like, hey, can we touch on this a little bit more? We got about, another 15 minutes or so.
One of my notes was if we didn't, I wanted to talk through that VOR alpha into Baraboo. So we did that. Lost comms. I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to, I have an initial approach fix in my route, right? Lost comms scenario though, it's not my clearance limit. My clearance limit, well, I'm assuming if it was, right? My clearance limit is KDLL. And the reg, go ahead.
So remember, your clearance limit is KDLL via what you filed.
Yeah.
You filed to an initial approach fix. That's how you're doing that whole through the initial approach fix route.
In lost comms, I take the reg, I think 2 literally, because it's like, well, is your clearance limit a point from which an approach begins? No, it's the airport. Okay, well then fly to your clearance limit and then get to the approach point as close to your ETA is how I read it. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, but that's how I read the regulation. Is that even in that flight plan, lost comms, KDLL is the clearance limit. I gotta basically fly the approach, but not descending to the airport, hold, and then go fly it again.
So
I tell you, in an actual emergency, probably just flying the approach, but that's how I read the regulation.
And I mean, and that is kind of how it's written, but the idea is more of, at least the way I approach it and the way I teach it is like, hey, they're trying to make sure that you're not forced into an approach that you don't want to do, right? Because if you filed to an initial approach fix and then now all of a sudden you get there, that would give you a 30 knot tailwind. Like they don't want to force you into doing that approach. So you've got the ability to fly to your clearance limit, which is the airport, and then fly to another one.
Right. Okay.
But if you put an initial approach fix in your route, ATC is looking at that going like, well, yeah, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. And I feel like predictability and getting on the ground is higher priority than exactly what the regulation said in that scenario.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's like a conversation you can have during your checkride. It's like, well, this is what the reg says. To me, that seems to be a little, for lack of a better way to put it, stupid.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Because if I put an initial approach fix on my route, yet my clearance limit was the airport, it doesn't make sense for me to fly to the airport and then back out to the approach that I planned anyway.
Right. Exactly.
So, and I know it says like you need to go to the highest of the 3, but like the highest of the 3 altitudes. But if you've got you've got a route that protects you on the way down.
Yeah.
And you're an emergency aircraft. So like, is it 91.1? You can deviate from any part of this chapter in the event of an emergency.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
And that would be, kind of my saving grace or, kind of, get out of fail free card.
Yeah.
Hey, an emergency aircraft, an IFR with no radios. Like I'm going to do what it takes to get the hell on the ground safely and like predictably.
Yeah. Predictable and logical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, I've been in hard IFR with no ability to contact ATC. I ended up having to like talk to a United that was passing overhead.
Oh man.
And they could relay messages between me and ATC because the reason I couldn't get a hold of them is I was on the wrong side of a storm from them. They didn't have any kind of retransmitters. And I think they might have tried to give me another radio frequency to contact at one point, but like it was too far away. I was only at like 3,500 feet because I was flying over Kansas. So like, what am I going to hit? You know, or maybe it was like 4,000. I forget what it was, but it was a lot. And I mean, the lost comms is it's not a fun situation. I know when it happened to me, you know, I had my buddy looking through my iPad and I was like, hey, find me a green dot. You know, because you know how ForeFlight green dot is VFR. I was like, find me a green dot. He found one. I was like, all right, that's in California. I need one closer to Kansas. And you know, but then like through talking to United and relaying between me and Kansas, they had like a VFR spot they could direct me to, and it was unpleasant. I did not like any of it because
no thanks.
No. But I mean, you and your Mooney, it's got much better climb. You know, speed, probably more fuel. I mean, what does that thing carry?
64 usable.
64 usable. So I mean, that's 6 hours of
hours. It's like I'm never going on a 6-hour leg.
Yeah. But what it does allow you is that if you're going to go on a 4-hour leg, you got 2 hours to you know, get your shit together in the event that you end up
it's exactly right.
In an unpleasant situation. So, but yeah, instrument, as I said, you're solid. I don't have any real concerns about instrument. I would just go back and freshen up some of the private pilot stuff.
Yeah, that feels right.
So, but yeah, man, if you made your way into the Discord's a great place. If you got any questions as you're running through, don't hesitate, screenshot some stuff, take some pictures, send it into the chat and be like, hey, I don't understand this. Can someone help me, you know, work through this? Student pilots, they're all marked with red. So if a student pilot's giving you advice, I'm not saying they're dumb, but
verify.
You know, yeah. Trust, but verify.
Noted.
You know, but everyone starts somewhere. They're not dumb. They're just not educated yet. But the CFIs, they're marked with a darker blue.
Okay, cool.
So, but yeah, man, if you don't have any other questions, just enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go install a smoke kit.
That sounds great, man. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. See ya.